Most people spend their entire lives following a script they never even wrote. They live life the way society tells them to live. They do exactly what their family expects, and they chase success the way the world defines it. But deep down, they they know something is off and they know something is missing. Welcome to Uniquely Called, a space for real, unfiltered stories for people who challenged the status quo and decided to live life on their own terms by following their God given purpose. I'm Bradley Martin, self mastery strategist, author, and world traveler. And this podcast is more than just about traveling and chasing dreams. It's about challenging the narrative and stepping out and living life on your own terms. Right now, I'm in Phuket, Thailand, and sitting outside of my apartment building. And this is what this podcast is all about. It's about being real, authentic, and sharing these stories in the most authentic possible way. This is for those who want to break free from that mold, who want to step away from the norm. And I know firsthand what it feels like to be in a mold and then just wake up every day and it's the same, and to constantly feel that whisper, that inner calling to do something different, but not know where to start. And the truth is, like, most people don't even realize that they're even living in this trap, right? Society tells us to, go to school, get a job, stay close to home, play it safe, make sure you have this savings, all of these things, and we just fall in line. Like, we don't even question any of it. So let me take you back. Growing up in Philadelphia, I grew up around a lot of violence, around a toxic situations, very dysfunctional neighborhood, family, everything. And it became my everyday norm, to the point that I became so numb to the violence, right? To the dysfunction. And I remember, like, just walking around the city with my shoulders tensed and just feeling real heavy. And I put on this shield and this armor, so I can show no weakness. And I carried this with me for a very long time. I didn't even know what peace of mind was. I didn't even know there was such a thing of peace of mind, if I'm being honest. And it's like, you you so far inside of this society trap that, like, everybody's doing the same thing. Like, nobody's dreaming, nobody's chasing anything, nobody's questioning everything. They're just going through that same cycle over and over and over again. And the craziest thing is, like, we really get handed this script from such a young age. From such a young age, they're telling us, like, exactly how we should spend our years, exactly what we do. And even though it feels wrong for us, we still find a way to fit into this mold. But for me, it's like I always had this whisper, or this small voice telling me, like, Bradley, you're meant for more. There's something more out there. And it got louder and louder. But what happens is, when you live in an environment with so many distractions, like, you just you quiet that voice yourself, because it's so out of the norm. But I was blessed, and I was lucky. Like, I had the opportunity to take a trip to South Africa, and I was supposed to be going to South Africa just for a research project. So I thought, but actually, it was something so much more profound, something so much more bigger than I can ever imagine. You know, I take the trip, I go to South Africa, and it was the first time I was away from people that I spent my everyday with, family, friends, same TV shows, things like that. South Africa, I got the opportunity to spend time with different host families from different parts of South Africa. I started having different conversations with different people. So, like, my whole entire perspective started to change. And one of the biggest things for me was, I just started really spending time in nature, and then I just started feeling really, really connected to life. Like, it's like I had this moment when I realized, like, we all were one. Like me, the trees, the mountain, the ocean, the people, we all was kind of like one. And I never had this experience. I remember feeling this glow of energy, and it just forced me to, like, really question everything that was going on in my previous life, like all the thoughts that I had previous thoughts that I had before, the way of thinking I had before, I started questioning why I believe in particular things or why don't I believe in particular things, and where they come from, is even if it's even my own thoughts. So, after spending 5 or 6 months in South Africa, what ended up happening is, I took a trip back home, and when I went back home, it's like I had on these sunglasses, and these sunglasses, I was able to see things from a whole different view. I was able to see things for exactly what they were. So things that I thought was normal didn't seem normal to me. Seeing people die, seeing people get shot, surviving every day, like only worrying about what I'm going to get through today. It just, I felt so out of place. And this went on for a whole year where I still was trying to make it work, but my spirit just was like, it was unsettled. And then that voice that I had before, it got even louder. It was so loud that I, like, it was nights where I couldn't even sleep. And I remember vividly these 3 nights where I just couldn't sleep. I I had this loud urge to, like, do something different, to do something more. And I couldn't understand why. And I remember getting in the shower and I was just, talking to God. And I'm saying, look, okay, what is it? What am I supposed to do? Like, tell me what I'm supposed to do. 'Cause I don't know. And or whatever. And then I had this voice say, like, that, maybe you need to leave. And I'm like, go where? And as I'm in the shower, that same feeling I had as I was hiking, I had. I feel like this aura was over my body and over my skin, and I was like glowing. Like, it's like I was in Dragon Ball Z or something like that. Like I was about to go to a Super Saiyan level or something. And then so I said, oh, maybe I need to go back to South Africa. So I started searching for jobs in South Africa after I got out of the shower, but I couldn't really find nothing, no jobs. So I go back to work. I play out my day, and then I get back home. I take a shower again, and the same feeling come up. I'm in the shower. God, okay, like I can't find nothing. Where am I supposed to go? Like, show me where to go. Tell me where to go. And then it just dawned on me, like, yo, like, why don't you go teach? And I've never taught before ever in my life. I never thought about teaching or anything like that. So I say, all right, I start looking for teaching jobs. And as I'm looking for teaching jobs, I'm looking in the Caribbean, I'm looking in the UK, I'm looking at all these places, and they say you need a teaching certificate. So I'm like, all right, it's gonna take me a long time to get this teaching certificate. And when I mean long, I mean it's gonna take me about a year and a half to get a teaching certificate. So I got a bit discouraged, closed my laptop, and then I, go about my day, I go back to work, and again, I go to work, I go to the gym, I come home, and I just can't sleep. It's like my spirit is so unsettled. So I get back in the shower again, and I'm in the shower, and I say, all right, come on, like you told me to go teach. How am I supposed to go teach? Like, I gotta get a certificate. And then again, this voice said to me, go teach in Thailand. I was like, what? So now I get back out. I'm like, all right. And then I get back out the shower. I go right to the laptop, and I start looking for teaching jobs in Thailand. And as I'm looking for teaching jobs in Thailand, I saw they didn't pay much. You needed this TEFL. The TEFL costed about $2,000. It was like a program that if you took the program, you would go fly to Thailand. You would spend 2 weeks training, and then they will place you inside of a school after you complete the thing. So then I'm like, what? How the hell am I supposed to come up with $2,000? I ain't got no money. So as I'm sitting there, I'm getting, again, I'm kind of getting like discouraged. And this voice said, hey, like, remember your cousin Monique sent you a Groupon. So I'm like, oh, dang. So I go back to my email, I search, I find this Groupon for TEFL. I don't even know why she sent me this TEFL back when I was in South Africa. And I go back in my email, I find the TEFL, and I find it for $5. And I thought it was fake, if I'm being honest with you. But I just was like, if it don't work, I'll figure out how to get the 2,000. So I get the TEFL. And now as I get the TEFL and I'm searching, China come up. Like, while I'm doing my search for Thailand, I actually see that, like, China kept coming up in my Google search. So, but then I saw that China, they pay a lot more for teaching. They had a lot more vacation time. So, I started applying for jobs in China. I started getting interviewed. I got, like, each place I applied for, I got interviewed. And I just chose the place that was the warmest, if I'm being honest with you. And literally, like, 1 month later, I left. I quit my job. I walked away from the relationships I was in, the relationship I was in, and I really just started all over from scratch. I started a new journey into teaching. And I thought that if only I didn't really, to me, it actually really wasn't about, where I was going or what I was doing. It was just like, I just felt this deep pull to get away. And I thought that if I can just get away, then, all my problems will go away. Right. And I think a lot of us, we had the situations where we think, like, once we make one change, like, everything's gonna be fixed, all the problems are going away. And let me tell you this, that's so far from the truth or the case. So, I leave a month later, I end up in China, and it was like I was in a totally new world. And but to be honest with you, I was really happy and I felt really good. I started off, working and trying to save money to get back out of debt. I only left with about like $800. So now I'm in China, and I'm there for months. Then I'm there for a year and another year, and then I'm realizing that like the same patterns that I had in the U and when I was back in the US was coming back up. So, and that's the same habits, the same thought patterns was coming up. And I'm asking myself, like, why? Like, how am I still here? And I realized that even though I was all the way across the world, I still felt myself like blaming people for my situations that I've been in. So my parents, family, environment, coaches, things like that. And I realized that like if I wanted things to change in my life, like I had to do some work. So I realized that I had to change some of my habits and behaviors if I wanted a different life. So it's like even though I was outside of the US and now I was in China, I still had the same behaviors. So I still was partying, I still was drinking, I still was, messing with all the women I could find, and I wasn't really making no progress. Like I still felt, a kind of like a void inside of me. And yeah, so I said, you know what? Like, all right, Bradley, I got to take responsibility for my own life if I want to live life on my own terms. And so at that moment, I remember sitting there and I said, you know what? Like I'm forgiving my mom, I'm forgiving my dad, I'm forgiving this person, I'm forgiving this person. And I remember the weight just kind of like falling off my shoulders, and I started just getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And then I remember when I was in South Africa, after we used to do different projects, we always did something called we used to call it a decompressing. And what we would do is you just would write about we would write about what just took place. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna start journaling. So I started like journaling. I just started like questioning everything. Why do I believe in this? Literally, like, why do I believe in God? Why do I believe in Jesus? Is it my own belief? Did my parents tell me this? Did somebody tell me this? You know, or why do I think we should do these type of jobs? Why do I think I should live this type of lifestyle? I started questioning like everything you could think possible. And I started sitting with myself. I started praying a lot. I started meditating. And then it was in China where like I got the closest to God. Once I started like removing a lot of those external distractions, like I was able to really, hear my voice and hear the voice of God. This journey showed me something. It showed me that once you stop living for like external validation, once you make the decision to take control of your life and live life on your own terms, once you realize that you're responsible for everything that happened to you in your life. And once you start following God, your God given purpose, everything shifts. I created Uniquely Called because I know I'm not the only one that has that pull or that tug, that inner whisper that's telling me like I'm meant for something more. This podcast isn't about success and surface level motivation. It's about real people sharing real journeys. Society will put you in a box, and we will try our best to fit in, and then wonder and be frustrated because we never feel at ease. We never feel like we belong. And it's because like we weren't made to fit in a box. My mission is to inspire others to really step into their God-given calling, to understand that like God didn't give them those gifts. God didn't give them that vision just to have the vision. So every week I'm going to be interviewing some of the most interesting, coolest people from all over the world who did exactly what society told them they shouldn't do, who took the chance, who showed faith in stepping up and answering the calling that God gave them, whether that's moving across the world, whether that's starting their own business, whether that's stepping into faith. And if you ever felt that nudge to or that whisper inside of you telling like there's something more, like this podcast is for you. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this with anyone who need this. Anyone who's been thinking and knowing that it's something bigger inside of them. This is Uniquely Called.